Welcome to this week's episode of Body Image Confidential, a series where I take viewers' questions around challenges that they're experiencing with accepting their bodies. So, in this week's episode, the question comes from Lynn, and I'm just going to read what she says. Lynn asks, why is it that after losing weight, our bodies slowly go back to where they were? Also, when weight loss is necessary to bring down an elevated A1C, how, after going up and down on the scales so many times, does someone approach it this time? So thanks so much for sharing that question, Lynn. I think many people have this question. So I'm going to address, you have two questions here. So I'm going to address the first one. So why is it that after losing weight, our bodies slowly go back to where they were? Here's what I see. Often, firstly, when we're trying to lose weight, we're just sort of implementing some kind of diet or protocol or plan. We're essentially trying to control our body and doing it with the intention of trying to lose weight, but it doesn't really stick for many reasons, like it doesn't fit with our lifestyle. It ends up being that we find ourselves under this tight control of restriction. And then when we feel like we're under restriction, we're naturally going to rebel. And because we don't want to be locked in, we want to feel free. So we're trying to like implement this control that's not really coming from this desire within, in the sense of it really being in alignment with ourselves. We're trying to kind of put it onto us and then live by that in that way. So that can be one reason. It's just not jiving with the natural kind of inclination with our life. Another reason, and this is something that I believe was shared in the book Health at Every Size by Lindo Bacon. That's a book I highly recommend reading for the physical aspect of weight in the weight science. It's really good because it's really research heavy. And what Lindo was sharing in the book is that she came up with the set point theory that our bodies kind of are naturally happy at a certain range of weight. And there are studies that people who try to force their bodies below or even above, the body would resist. So there's, in the book, the theory is that there's about a 20-pound range that our body kind of just is naturally happy at. And when we try to go too far below that, our body will rebel. Also, there is the idea too, if we are doing restriction, reduce calories, our bodies do not understand that we're safe and that we're doing it for weight loss. The body sees it as, I'm going into famine. And the thing is that the body actually does better when there's quote unquote extra weight on the body than not enough. Because for survival reasons, if you were to actually encounter a legitimate famine, the body has resources on it to draw from. So we just have these really, I think, unrealistic ideas and expectations about body size and what's supposed to be a good body size. If you see on my Instagram page, I actually have it pinned. I have a post about essentially the myth of the BMI. And if you read through that, I mean, when we're using that as a baseline, it's ridiculous. We're forcing our bodies to try to be at a lower weight than for probably many of us it actually wants to be. So that could be going on too, is the body is experiencing famine and it's like, wait a minute, this isn't good because and also to note too, and I want you to notice this, when somebody's dying, when somebody's sick, they tend to lose weight. Like you don't see it usually the other way. So it's actually like the body's happier when it's healthier, when it has some weight on it. So losing weight isn't a good thing for the body to physically survive. And you can also look at when babies are born, they always are wanting them to gain weight. Like when a baby loses weight, that's a real cause for concern, because that means that the body's not thriving. So we're trying to force it to lose this weight, but the body is physiologically can be, reacting against that when we're imposing such strict diets on it. And it's usually fast, right? It's not like we're just gradually reducing it. It's usually like, I'm going on this diet, I'm restricting these calories, and it's quick. It's a shock to the body. Also too, when it comes to making these changes for our health, again, when I'm saying that, often when we're going on in a diet, it's not really truly in alignment with ourselves. So we're kind of forcing ourselves to change behaviors really drastically, and that's hard to do. So this is going to then bring me to the second part of the question. You said when weight loss is necessary to bring down an elevated A1C, how, after going up and down on the scale so many times, does someone approach this? Okay. The first thing I would question is that if weight loss is necessary to bring down an A1C. I understand that that is the don't want to say common assumption, but it's the statement right now in the medical community. That's what they believe. That's what they're trying to tell everybody to do. And yet there are people in larger bodies who don't have elevated A1Cs. So it's not that it's necessary. What ends up happening is that typically when changes are made to the body and the body ends up losing weight, the weight loss is the tangible difference that we see, but weight loss doesn't happen in a vacuum. So something else is happening and going on that is contributing to the weight loss. So even if you're using a drug like a GLP-1, that drug is making chemical alterations in the body, and so that's the effect of it. It's not the weight loss that's causing the numbers to go down, it's the chemicals in the drug, right? So if typically what happens when we're losing weight is we're doing something different, right? So you're changing your eating habits, diet and exercise, the two common things. You're changing your eating habits, you're changing your exercise habits. For a lot of people, that will cause a reduction in weight loss, a reduction in weight. But it's not the weight itself that is then making the changes, it's the behaviors, it's the changes in the actions. So what if, this is what I'm going to posit, you were to focus on the health behavior changes, but let go of the desire for weight loss? And I know that can be really hard to do, but what if you were to say, I want to reduce my A1C? So I'm sure you have lots of knowledge, and there's not knowledge and research everywhere out there on what are some better foods to eat, how you to be moving your body. Also, too, stress is a huge contributor to all imbalances in the body, including elevated A1Cs, high blood pressure. Chronic stress absolutely contributes to that, because when our body is under stress, it's in a fight or flight response, even if it's subtle, and it's basically withdrawing energy from our organs that are not necessary for survival in that moment. It's basically creating an imbalance. So reducing stress levels is huge. And what are we often doing when we're focused on weight loss? Stressing about it. When you're trying to get the diet right, when you're like, when are the numbers going to change? It's stressful. So actually letting go of the desire for weight loss and instead focusing on what can I do to help these numbers go down, be it shifts in nutrition, shifts in exercise, shifts in sleep, and stress levels, is huge. That's where I'm going to right now plug my weekly meditations, free weekly meditations, to help with the reduction of stress, because we are a stressed out society. Stress is normal in our culture. Everybody's running around with some level of stress that we don't even realize that that's such a huge contributor. So these are where these changes and desires are going to come more from within, and making these changes to align with what matters to you in your life, instead of trying to like put on a protocol onto yourself and try to make yourself fit it. One last thing that I want to say about this, and a different way to approach it. And by the way, on a side note, if you were to search intuitive eating dietitians, intuitive eating diabetes, there are a lot of dietitians out there who specialize in taking an intuitive eating approach, so a non-diet approach to particularly, I'm not saying you have diabetes, but you're saying, elevated A1C, I know, is correlated with that. So there are lots of advice out there that is not focused on weight, but instead focused on, the nutrition piece, the overall health and well-being piece. So the other last piece I wanted to say about this is, and this is where it gets into something a little bit different. What we focus our attention on is really important to what we create and experience in our lives. So when our attention is focused on our weight, we're going to be seeing usually more weight. Like, we're just going to be focused on weight. So this is a mental perspective shift. Shift your attention to what you want to see. So you want to see a lowered A1C. So what is it that goes along with that? You want to visualize improved health. You want to be thinking of improved vitality, lower, A1C levels. Start to shift your focus on what you want to be seeing versus what you don't want. So even when you say, well, I want weight loss, the mind doesn't really understand the negatives. It doesn't understand what you don't want. It just sees like, what is the substance of the thing that you're focused on? So it doesn't understand don't want weight. It just understands weight, if that makes sense. So this is a perspective shift of, instead of focusing on what you don't want, focus on what you want. So what is it that you're really wanting? You're wanting your A1C to go down. You're wanting to feel healthy and vibrant in your body. You're wanting to feel, good about yourself. Focus on what that would feel like. And then from that place, we're naturally going to be guided to be making decisions that is going to support that. And it's coming from a different place. So just notice how that already feels more peaceful, more at ease, less stressful. And then it's going to be gradual. So these are gradual changes. We don't typically do well when we're trying to make a black and white decision, what is, going on a diet often is about. So when they say it's about lifestyle changes, yeah, but it has to be something that is doable for you and that makes sense for you. And when you're focused on what you want instead of what you don't want, there's no resistance there, and you're going to naturally be guided more towards things that are going to support you in experiencing that well-being, that health, that vitality. Okay. So the big message here really, which is the opposite of what we're told right now, is don't focus on the weight. And from this perspective of what I was saying of where our attention goes is what we get more of. Like, let's look at this culturally. How long as a culture have we been focused on weight loss? Decades now, right? And has it worked? Like, the aim has been for the general population to be of a lower weight, and yet statistics show it's just gone up. Now, many people are going to argue all the reasons for that, but I'm going to say that our attention is a huge thing. What we resist persists. So when we're fighting against something, we're actually feeding it energy. So what we want to do is shift away from what we don't want to what we do want. So let go of the weight, trust that the body is intelligent, that if weight is meant to release from the body, it will in its own time. But in the meantime, you get to improve your health and well-being, and you can let go of the stress of the weight, because your health and well-being can improve without focusing on weight loss. It's not really the weight that is the cause. It's the behaviors behind it. It's the things that have changed that have contributed to that weight loss. So it's a different way of looking at this. It's a different paradigm. And certainly you've done the old thing over and over and over again, and has it been working? You're back in the same spot, right? So this is a good time to try something different. All right, Lynn, I hope that you found that answer good. I hope you got something out of it that inspired you, something to look at, to move forward with. If you're watching this and you have a specific question or challenge related to feeling peaceful in your body, please just send me a DM. And I'm also going to drop below in the comments a note about joining my free weekly 10-minute guided meditations. It is the most crucial thing that I will tell anybody who's wanting to make peace with their body, experience less stress and anxiety, feel better about themselves. It's really the key practice to start with, and it can be hard to do on your own. I know that it can, unless you're a seasoned meditator. It's tough. So I get a lot of good responses from those who are participating in my guided meditations. It's 10 minutes. I lead you through it. It's worth it, because the stress and anxiety is what's fueling a lot of our discontent with our bodies. And when we can actually realize that there's a peace and an ease and a deeper intelligence within us that we have access to, that's not in our frantic mind, that's when everything starts to change. It's so important. It's so crucial. So please sign up for these weekly meditations if you haven't already, and really do give them a try. Okay. Thanks so much. I will see you for the next Body Image Confidential, most likely next week. Take care.